everyone's got fun accent. Just kind of shenanigan after shenanigan. A douchebag who gets some character development, but then is a douchebag again. That is not the right way to do that. No one was sad about that. Hi guys, welcome back to another Rants video. If you saw my previous video that I posted on Wednesday, which, geez, it's been a long time since I've done that. You probably know what I'm talking about, or you're very confused and all you know is mermaids are involved. Anyway, we'll jump right into it. I finished watching H2O, Just Add Water. If you know, you know. It is an early 2000s Australian mermaid show, and I had a blast watching it. My goodness. One, Australian, so everyone's got fun accent. It's great. Second, it's a well-made show. The underwater sequences are absolutely insane, and from what I've heard about the behind the scenes stuff is just ridiculous. Like, the actresses had to learn how to hold their breath underwater, how to swim with this giant tail on them, and they filmed in SeaWorld or whatever in Australia so that they could get all of the fish and that kind of stuff. It's just absolutely insane just the more I hear about how they did stuff to film the show. It's just nuts. So it was very impressive and very visually pleasing. Like, it looks so good. So good. Because I think the only computer generated stuff is when we see them going super fast through the water, not close-ups where they just have the bubbles going by them, because that's clearly just them having some sort of fan or whatever making the bubbles go past them. But when you have a wide shot of them swimming through the water, that is clearly computer generated stuff, but it still looks pretty good. And you can definitely tell by the third season, I feel like they got a little bit of a budget bump, because they seem to be showing off more of their CGI things. The other thing that's CGI is the girls' powers, obviously, because you can't just make water do that. But anyway, it is very practical considering the content of the show, and it's so good. Anyway, jumping into this, I don't know. It's Cleo, Ricky, and Emma jump into a magical moon pool on a place called Mako Island, and during a full moon, and the water bubbles. They escape the island, and they find out the next day that if they touch water, even a single drop of water, they turn into mermaids. Wherever the heck they are, they turn into mermaids. It's such a wild concept, but it's so good. But so they decide they need to keep this a secret, because, hey, if people find out we can turn into mermaids, most of them are going to either want to expose us and turn us into an attraction, or experiment on us and dissect us. So it's best not to share this with anyone. So basically the show is them trying to keep this a secret throughout a plethora of different situations, until the third season. The third season gets a little more of a driving plot versus the more episodic style that the first two seasons have, where it's just kind of shenanigan after shenanigan, and they're just trying not to get their secret revealed. They both have kind of their overarching antagonist, but they're not super driving to the story and the plot that's happening until we get to the third season. So it's so fun. I feel like they do the characters very well. It's not a very character-driven show, so we don't have to get too in-depth with the characters, but we do get a certain, they're not two-dimensional people. They have character, they have flaws, they have their challenges that they have to overcome. They have the struggles that they face throughout the season as they develop, and it's really good. So we have the three main girls. We have Lewis, who is Cleo's love interest and basically boyfriend from the beginning, but only officially at the end. mid to end of season 1. I forget what episode exactly it happens. I binged it in like a month and a half, so sometimes the seasons bleed together. But anyway, yeah, it would have been like second half of season 1 because season 2 they break up. Anyway, Lewis is amazing. Lewis is kind of the best character. And we also have Zane, who's a douchebag, who gets some character development, but then is a douchebag again. It's a little... I do have my problems with season 3. But anyway, it's good. We get to see some character development from the different characters, and we get to see it's good. It's some of the episodes are just really ridiculous. So that's fun, and they have some more serious ones as well. It's just a very, very fun show to watch. I don't have a whole lot to say concerning the first 2 seasons since it's more episodic, except some character stuff. Season 2 has some interesting character stuff happen. One, because the actor for Richard from Legend of the Seeker just randomly shows up as a recurring character in the second season as Emma's love interest, and I lost my mind a little bit because I had also just finished watching Once Upon a Time, and he showed up in season 6 as a 1-episode character as the Count of Monte Cristo, and I had also flipped out. I was rewatching Once Upon a Time, and a bunch of actors showed up that I recognize now, and I didn't know when I first watched it. Guys, Sam Witwer is Mr. Hyde, and I lost my mind because Sam Witwer is insane and wonderful. Anyway, sidebar. So yeah, we have Richard from The Legend of the Seeker show up as a recurring character. One, just love the actor in general. And I enjoy his character. Like, he's genuinely a good guy, and he tries to help, but sometimes he like tries too hard and kind of crosses a social line. Like he thinks Emma's afraid of water because of like some accident or whatever. Like, he doesn't understand, like, she touches water and she turns into a mermaid, obviously. So he's just like, I will help her get over this fear of water. So he just picks her up and carries her into the shallows of a beach until she like literally screams at him. And you're sitting there like, oh buddy, I see you're trying to help, but like, that is not the right way to do that. I enjoy his character. The other character in season 2 that I think the entire fandom collectively hates is Charlotte. She is kind of the main antagonist of season 2, and I think she's sort of supposed to develop into the main antagonist, but there's not a whole lot of development. She's a manipulative douchebag throughout the entirety of the season, no matter what people might say or think. She is a manipulative douchebag from the beginning to the end of that season, and it only gets worse as she discovers things about the mermaids and about her family and her like familial ties to the mermaids, because her grandmother was one of the original trio of mermaids that we learn about in the first season. And then she eventually becomes a mermaid, and she's just insufferable, and she's just trying to basically steal everything that the girls have, so she becomes a mermaid. She ends up having all 3 of their powers. I don't know why, but she does. And before she even becomes a mermaid, was working to steal Lewis from Cleo. Like, they broke up because things happened and like the girl's powers got stronger. So she's like, things are really complicated right now. I need some space. And he's like, okay, upsetting, but fine. But they broke up, but they're still obviously in love with each other. They're just, life is complicated. And so Charlotte tries to literally steal him from her the entire season. She manages to succeed, but he's clearly miserable throughout the entirety of their relationship. And so they break up in second to last episode, or the last episode, one of the two. Anyway, and I think all of us collectively cheered, and then she lost her mermaid powers, which is even better, and then she disappeared off the face of the earth, and we're like, bye, Charlotte. No one was sad about that. I don't know if anyone ever really felt bad for her, not by the end at least. So yeah, Charlotte was a manipulative douche. And then we have season 3. I know I just speed ran the first 2 seasons, but season 3 has the most stuff to talk about because it has a more driving plot line, and there's changes made to the cast and stuff. So there's more to talk about. first of all, Emma's actress, I didn't actually look up what technically happened, but she was no longer involved in the show. So we have her replacement, Bella, who is a cool character, and I enjoy her character. It's just, you know, it's sad. There's a little bit of bittersweetness to it because she's kind of there to replace Emma. Like, they don't want it to come off that way, obviously, but she is the replacement character for Emma. So there's a little bit of that bittersweetness mixed into with her character. She is a cool character. Like, she becomes a mermaid when she is a child in a different part of the world, and so like kind of growing the world that we have established in the first 2 seasons. And so she's pretty cool. We have Will, yes, Will, who is her love interest, because all the girls need a love interest, obviously. Or it wouldn't be the young adult mermaid show that we have come to know and love. So anyway, Will is her love interest, and we have them, and it's like, it's very, very obvious. And then they have to create like tension, like relationship tension and drama and whatever else to like drag us along until near the end of the season. So yeah, whatever. The biggest thing is, oh no, one more character. There's one more character that they had to add, and one other character thing I have to talk about. We'll talk about plot in a minute. So they add Will's sister Sophie, who is just Charlotte 2.0, but because of that, she is worse in a sense. I don't know if it's because she's the second Charlotte character and it feels like they're just kind of rehashing Charlotte, or what it was, but she is worse. And I don't know what this show has against redheads, because Charlotte and Sophie are both redheads, and they're both manipulative douchebags, and they're both trying to steal something from one of the girls. Charlotte goes after mainly Cleo and what she has, and Sophie goes after Ricky and what she has. She's trying to get with Zane, and then she tries to go for Ricky's job. At one point gets Ricky's job, and it's just Charlotte 2.0, and I don't like her at all. I hate her. The difference is, I feel like Charlotte, they showed moments where, oh, maybe she could kind of have this moment of realization and be like, okay, I don't need to do all this. And then Sophie is just a douche all 24/7. There is no hint of any kind of redemption for her, and which makes the ending where she kind of like gives up on her hunt for money in order to like save her and her brother's life. It makes that very unsatisfying, because there's no hint of her ever making that decision ever. Whereas Charlotte, we have somewhat kind of hints for it, but in the end, she does choose to go all the way, and she tries to steal the girls' powers, and they just manage to overpower her, and that's why she has to stop. Whereas Sophie chooses to stop, but she had no hints of redemption. And so I feel like Sophie's character was just not done the best compared to other characters in the show. And the other thing is that we undo Zane's character development. We just completely undo it in this season. So we had him developing throughout the first 2 seasons, kind of caring about other people, growing some kind of empathy, wanting to be a genuinely like good person for the most part, and like becoming better for and because of Ricky. Whereas in the 3rd season, he just reverts back to season 1 Zane, and it's awful, and it's really maddening. I'm like mad at him as a character, and I'm kind of mad at the writers because they just took away his character development. Like, seriously, he worked so hard to get to this point. And yes, he's like in charge of a cafe or whatever else now, and some of that stress could make him revert a little bit, but at the same time, not all the way back and like for good. Like to the point where Ricky straight up goes, nope, I'm out, and leaves him and leaves the cafe, and just all of that because he's his old self. He's not the guy she was in a relationship with anymore. He's gone back to where he was at the beginning of the series, which is really sad. So that was maddening, and Sophie was maddening. So basically, when we were in the cafe, I was upset at one or both of the characters. Nate is always maddening. But anyway, yeah, that's the main character stuff that I need to ramble about. The other thing is we're now into kind of the driving plot thing. So, like I said, they were showing off more of their CGI skills. I think they got a little bit of a budget bump there. Because we have the moon pool transforms a little bit. It gains like a little waterfalls and whatever else coming out of the wall. It has like this giant waterfall covers the wall and shoots energy into the moon pool, and then this water tentacle thing shows up and then goes to attack the girls. That's the plot. They're figuring out what the heck is going on with this tentacle. But they were very much showing off. It's like, hey, we got a budget bump, so we're gonna use some CGI, and it looks good. It looks good. CGIing water, I'm sure, is very difficult, but they made it look pretty good. It helps that it's mostly calm water that they were trying to CGI. So that looked very good. There's an interesting plotline going on. Again, there was a bit of a bittersweet tinge. I don't know what word I'm looking for. There's a bittersweet vein to everything that I watched, just because, oh, Emma's gone, and like this is some character development was lost and this kind of thing. And the main like antagonist is just Charlotte all over again, but worse. Yeah, so it was unfortunate. And I wasn't quite as invested in Bella and Will's characters as I was the other characters, obviously because I had the other characters for longer, but you know, they didn't quite draw me in as much as the other characters did initially in their first season either. Also, they take Lewis away from us. They straight up take Lewis away from us. He is there for all but the last couple episodes, last third probably of the season, because he gets offered a spot at an American university, and so he goes all the way to the States for school, and it starts in the middle of a school year, and I'm just, no, do not take Lewis from us. So they take Lewis away, and I'm sad because he's the best. We have reference obviously to him and whatever else. We bring in a potential love interest for Cleo, and I'm just sitting there going, no. Cleo and Lewis are the only ones allowed to be, Lewis is the only one allowed to be in a relationship with Cleo. So yeah, it was fine. He ended up being kind of an antagonist, partner, character, whatever. And he goes up to her and he kind of fishes for information a little bit, and she just goes, no. And then he kind of asks her on a date, and she goes, no. Lewis wouldn't appreciate whatever else. And he leaves, and I'm just like, good job, Cleo. good loyalty. Way to make long distance work. And then he shows up at the very end when the girls graduate, and it's great. It really would have been really great if they'd been able to get Emma's actress for the last episode. Whether just her graduating with them or just showing up to congratulate them or whatever else. Again, I didn't like look up why she wasn't there, so I don't know if it was like why it wasn't a possibility, but it would have been really, really cool if she'd been able to show up for that last episode at least. But yeah, this is a pretty short video, but like there's not a whole lot to ramble about. I just had a very good time watching this show. It was a little ridiculous, but it was so good and so very enjoyable. So yeah, that was my experience watching H2O Just Add Water. I know there's kind of a sequel series called Mako Mermaids, so that may or may not get a watch. For those who have watched both series, let me know if it's worth watching Mako Mermaids. I've heard it's a little bit cringier than H2O was, and I also know there's just a crap ton of mermaids, like so many mermaids. So I don't know, let me know if that's worth giving a watch. But yeah, those are my thoughts on H2O Just Add Water. Feel free to continue the discussion, add your thoughts, whatever else in the comments. I post videos on this channel Saturdays, sometimes Wednesdays apparently. We'll see, maybe I'll get more back into that routine. Don't get your hopes up, I'm getting married soon. But anyway, post videos on this channel on Saturdays and on my audiobook channel on Thursdays. I'll see y'all next time.